This is a remake of the first video I had posted on 10th of May 2026 with additional information concerning the Synagogue of Satan that is now located on the tiny island of Singapore. The Synagogue of Satan was only mentioned once in the Bible, and it can be found in the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 9, which, after reading it again, was actually a prophecy by Jesus himself over New Creation Church of Singapore. If anyone was already familiar with the early ministries of Pastor Joseph Prince, he can be found preaching on Sundays, using the Hebrew words as the basis of his teachings. But it's exactly this action that fulfilled Jesus' prophecy, because Pastor Joseph Prince was not a Jew to begin with. And New Creation Church, which had a humble beginning of only a few founding members, has since grew to one of the largest churches in Singapore. And to the extent they were able to fork out 300 million Singapore dollars to purchase the remaining shares of the Star Vista Mall without raising more funds.
I know your works, tribulation, and poverty, but you are rich. And I know the blasphemy of those who say they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan.
Revelation chapter 2, verse 9, New King James Version. If anyone has doubts as to why New Creation Church, which fully owned the Star Vista Mall as of 20th November 2019, is now a synagogue of Satan, should read the prophecies of Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12 to 14, which Pastor Joseph Prince had brought to pass by preaching the year of the latter rain at the beginning of 2019.
How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning! How you are cut down to the ground, you who weakened the nations. For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will also sit on the mount of the congregation, on the farthest sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to Sheol, to the lowest depths of the pit. At Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12 to 15. New King James Version.
Please start considering the 4 conditions that was mentioned in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 13, which were spectacularly fulfilled by name of the building, the worship venue located at the top of the building, its function as a church for the word congregation, and lastly, the geographical location of the building that was just outside of another industrial development called One North. Therefore, Pastor Joseph Prince, a famous grace-based preacher of New Creation Church from Singapore, is undoubtedly the Antichrist that we have all been waiting for. Besides Jesus himself, there is perhaps no other man on planet Earth that had so many Bible prophecies accorded to him, which he alone had already brought several of these prophecies to pass. Let's take, for example, the prophecies of Zechariah, which was also one of Pastor Joseph Prince's favorite preachings on the subject of grace.
Who are you, O great mountain? Before Zerubbabel you shall become a plain, and he shall bring forth the capstone with shouts of grace, grace to it. Zechariah chapter 4, verse 7. New King James Version.
But who would have thought that such an innocent verse, which turned out to be a prophecy, was twice fulfilled separately? The first fulfillment was when New Creation Church bought the remaining shares of the Star Vista Mall from the real estate developer, Capitaland, to match the prophecy. And he shall bring forth the capstone with shouts of grace, grace to it. The second fulfillment of the Zechariah grace prophecy had to do another prophecy found in the book of Psalms, which we must now read.
The earth shook. The heavens also dropped rain at the presence of God. Sinai itself was moved at the presence of God, the God of Israel. A mountain of God is the mountain of Bashan. A mountain of many peaks is the mountain of Bashan. Why do you fume with envy, you mountains of many peaks? This is the mountain which God desires to dwell in. Yes, the Lord will dwell in it forever. Psalm 68, verse 8 and 15 to 16. New King James Version.
So, can you imagine this? That Pastor Joseph Prince and his New Creation Church had been preaching against the mountain of God every Sunday with their grace message since they moved into the Star on 23rd December 2012. Please understand that the grace message derived from Romans chapter 6, verse 14 is a false message. Because without the law, grace is nothing but a practice of lawlessness. This is not my own opinion, but several Bible prophecies, found both in the Old and New Testament, were written against Paul as one of the many Antichrists. We will discuss those scriptures written against Paul, and especially against Romans chapter 6, verse 14, not under law but under grace, in another video. It was therefore not by coincidence that a road named after Mount Sinai was in close proximity to the Star Vista Mall, alongside with One North development also in the same geographical location to fulfilled Bible prophecies. And now, we shall move on to look at other prophecies that Pastor Joseph Prince had brought to pass to mark him as the man of sin, the son of perdition. On the 6th of January, 2019, Pastor Prince had innocently and sincerely revealed the theme of the year as the year of the latter rain. Shortly after revealing this theme, a short video was played on screen, but the ending was astonishing because of the choice of using a lightning bolt to form the words latter rain over a background showing the bread and wine. But it was precisely this combination that we know Pastor Prince is the man of sin, the son of perdition, by fulfilling Luke chapter 10 verses 18 and 19. And this prophecy would later be supported by another fulfillment of prophecy by the prophet Isaiah.
And he said to them, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Behold, I give you the authority to trample on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. Luke chapter 10, verses 18 and 19. New King James Version.
On 20th November 2019, Pastor Joseph Prince and his church announced the purchase of the remaining shares of the Star Vista Mall, and thus fulfilling the prophecies of John chapter 2, verses 16 and 17, whom Jesus himself had flipped, seeing his Father's sanctuary had been turned into a house of merchandise.
Now the Passover of the Jews was at hand, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. And he found in the temple those who sold oxen and sheep and doves, and the money changers doing business. When he had made a whip of cords, he drove them all out of the temple, with the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money, and overturned the tables. And he said to those who sold doves,
Take these things away. Do not make my Father's house a house of merchandise.
John chapter 2, verse 13 to 16, New King James Version. But most of all, it was the fulfillment of Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12 to 14 that sealed Pastor Prince's fate as the Antichrist. During Jesus' times, the Pharisees and Sadducees wanted to test Jesus and asked him for a sign from heaven.
Then the Pharisees and Sadducees came, and testing him asked that he would show them a sign from heaven. He answered and said to them,
When it is evening, you say, It will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and threatening. Hypocrites! You know how to discern the face of the sky, but you cannot discern the signs of the times. A wicked and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, and no sign shall be given to it, except the sign of the prophet Jonah.
And he left them and departed. Matthew chapter 16, verse 1 to 4, New King James Version.
Therefore, when New Creation Church announced the purchase of the remaining shares of the Star Vista Mall on 20th November 2019, on the second last day of Scorpio, exactly 40 days later, Jesus' prophecy from Matthew chapter 16, verse 1 to 4 concerning the given sign of Jonah came to pass.
And Jonah began to enter the city on the first day's walk. Then he cried out and said, And yet 40 days, and Nineveh shall be overthrown. From the book of Jonah, chapter 3, verse 4. New King James Version.
Not only Jonah chapter 3, verse 4 had came to pass, but at the same time had opened the first seal of Revelation chapter 6, and thus gave birth to COVID-19, also known as the coronavirus, on 30th December 2019. All the conditions for Revelation's first seal were all fully met by one man, Joseph. and thus established the first name of the Antichrist is Joseph and no one else.
How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. How you are cut down to the ground, you who weaken the nations. For you have said in your heart, I will ascend in heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will also sit on the mount of the congregation on the farthest sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Isaiah chapter 14 verses 12 to 14. New King James Version.
Joseph Prince, by falsely preaching that Jesus is your heavenly Joseph, was in fact promoting himself along with the name Joseph as being equal with the Prince of Hosts. This bold statement was not innocent at all because of Joseph Prince's true identity as the Antichrist. Because of this one man's actions, standing at God's sanctuary where he ought not, Pastor Joseph Prince, whose office along with first and last name can be counted to being 666, had brought entire nations to their knees with the deadly global pandemic. There are many more Bible prophecies concerning Pastor Joseph Prince. So please subscribe to this channel for more information about the Antichrist.